I did want to tell you the story about my near death experience.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's hear it.
So I'm actually quadriplegic,
Okay. Wow.
and I got in a very severe accident one night.
Mm.
I was riding in the bed of the truck with three of my other buddies. It was a small, I think it was a Toyota,
Mm-hmm.
and it was only like a two-seater cab, and they were already crammed in there.
Mm.
So I was in the bed of the truck, and uh, we were kind of doing teenage things earlier that night, so none of us were really in the right state of mind.
Mm.
The driver lost control of the truck, and he hit a tree,
Mm.
and it sent me flying out of the bed of the truck into the middle of the road, and I
Oh wow.
broke my neck and back, which paralyzed me instantly.
Wow.
Uh,
Mm.
got knocked. I just blacked out as soon as I hit the pavement.
Wow.
I wake up, and one of my buddies is like trying to like grab my arm and pull me up off the ground, and like I just knew I couldn't feel my body. And I was like, no, man, stop. That's not going to work. I can't feel my legs.
Mm.
I keep like fading in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, like there's a police officer there. He's like, kneeling down. He's like, trying to, assess me and so forth. And I'm like, I asked him like, are my legs still attached? Like, 'cause
Mm.
I couldn't feel anything,
Right. Right.
instantly, snapped my spinal cord. Um,
Yeah, the
they called an
fading in and out
ambulance
thing
to
is
airlift
actually
me
you were
out of
going through
there.
shock.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like just like black. Yeah. Just like into the nether. So I get they airlift me out there to get me to like the nearest trauma center.
Mm-hmm.
And first time I ever got to ride a helicopter. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Sweet.
Um, so I'm like in the helicopter and I'm like losing, fading in into consciousness. I briefly remember talking to the emergency nurse that rides on the helicopter. She's still trying to keep me conscious or whatever, but
Mm.
to no avail. And I don't even really remember much after that, like on the physical level. But I for I don't know, I was like detaching from my body, like my consciousness, my spirit, my soul,
Wow.
and I just remember being like, at first, like when I was blacking out, it was just black, but when I regained consciousness, I was no longer in my body, and I'm just slowly like being surrounded by light,
Mm.
and then it's almost like people say it's like a tunnel, like the light surrounds you, and then it kind of starts spinning,
Mm.
and as it's spinning, I start hearing like this. Uh, it's like almost like a pulsing wall, 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 and it's just like this like crazy sound that's like penetrating like like every being of my soul.
Wow.
And it's not scary at all. It is very you say warm, but you don't have feeling at that point. And I don't mean just because of the
Right.
spinal cord injury, but because of like it's almost like like something just instantly clicked with me, like, oh, this is God. this
Right.
is
Like it was a
this is
calm. It was
something
a calming.
beyond
A
me.
calming situation.
Yes, it was
Wow.
not scary at all. There was nothing to be scared of in that situation. Like I was just instantly filled with peace. And there was no words, but I was like, I had this like feeling that like you can keep going down this tunnel or you can go back.
Whoa.
And I made the decision to go back. And as I like as I start getting in and returning back to conscious, like it's like several weeks afterwards, because they had me in a medical induced coma.
Mm.
But there was a couple times when I would wake up and wake up, and they would put like some really heavy drugs into you to knock you back out.
Yeah.
And I'm back to earth at this point, but I still feel detached from my body. And I remember I still have these vivid memories of me being like my body's laying in the ER, but like I'm wandering around, like I'm slithering like a snake. Like
Whoa.
I'm the shadow of a snake, and I'm slithering around all the different like hospital rooms. I'm slithering like underneath the nurses walking around underneath their desks, like just
Wow.
going around the hospital.
Are you are is the whole, are you the whole time at that point of view, like from the ground, or are you shifting up and down?
No, it's entirely from the perspective of being on the ground, like I'm a
Wow.
shadow.
Wow. That's
Yeah, and
wild.
I don't still don't understand why that was that I was experiencing that. It could just be the drugs, but it was very weird because I was hearing the conversations that the people were saying. As I would move into other different rooms, and the nurses talking to the doctors and the different staff and so forth. So it was if I was like whacked out on just because of whacked out on the drugs, it was very odd that I was able to like perceive these like different conversations and see like form like these like memories that like I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but
Yeah, that's wild.
eventually got to the point where I was like I was awake. I was back. They had taken me out of the coma.
Hmm.
They weren't putting me on any more drugs. Not even for the like pain because at that point there really isn't that much pain anymore.
Mm, right.
And strangely enough, from all the crazy trauma that happened that night, I was very at peace with everything. And I always had like family that would stay in the room with me, and a lot of the times it would be my grandma.
Mm,
And my grandma is like huge, inspiration in my life, and she's always been there for us. She was kind of there as like my mom for a lot of my childhood.
hmm.
Um, Very spiritual person, very heavily Christian, um, and she would stay with me like most of the time there. And she still brings this up all the time too. And she how I was in that hospital for about 3 to 4 months,
Mm,
and the nursing staff would come in. All the like if they were just on break or if they were having a hard time, they would just come in and they just like would talk to me like, and that wasn't like a normal thing. Like they were almost like they were like they needed somewhere to vent, so they felt like they could come to me to like vent their frustrations.
wow.
Yeah,
That's wild. Yeah, they were picking up on whatever that calmness was that maybe you experienced.
yeah.
Were
That's
you
kind of what my grandma was saying too. Like maybe like they like felt like there was like you're like some kind of median almost.
right?
Like
I love grandmas. Shout out to
yeah.
grandmas. They're the best. Um, were you religious before the accident? Like, did you have a sense of God, or did it change after?
So I was I grew up Protestant. I'd go like my grandma would take us to church, and she would
Mm,
always teach us about Christ and so forth. And when I get to high school, then you become a cringy little atheist for a long time, and
yep.
you know, after high school, really religion just was like in the complete back of my mind. It's just so like lost and uh, unfocused and didn't know directionless. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life, and
Mm,
that's why I was doing like stupid things like getting drunk, underage drinking, and then getting in car accident.
yeah.
And then after that, it's like my perspective really changed on everything, and I'm definitely a true believer nowadays. And um, yeah, that experience really like not only like changed my life, but changed my like whole family's life. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's profound in so many ways.
yes,
Just out of curiosity, brother, did you? And I'm probably asking for a lot of other people that are curious too. Did you recover from these injuries?
so I've actually regained like a lot of like movement in my like upper body. Like, so I didn't like, when you think of quadriplegic, you think you're just like you're like a head essentially. But usually with quadriplegics, it's like you lose like a lot of movement in your hands. Like I can't use my hands, but I had a lot of shoulder movement, and I've been over the years I've gained a lot of tricep strength, bicep strength, shoulder control, core control. But it's the way the injuries happen. It's like your spinal cord nerves don't regenerate,
Right.
so they do, but it's at such a slow rate that it's never going to like heal on its own. So, but they're making a lot of breakthroughs in regenerative medicines and so forth. So,
Yeah. I
um,
mean, you might have heard me talk before about my thoughts on the Neuralink and what it's doing for paraplegics and other, things and
mhm.
other, blind people. And like, it's those short term benefits that I think are so beautiful that like, how do you feel about those types of things? Do you have like, is that something you could do or would help you, that kind of situation? Or are there other avenues that would help you more?
So the thing is with Neuralink is I think that he's using like the guise of like healing, like the blind and like the spinal cord injuries and so forth.
Hmm.
I think he's kind of using that like as like a guise to just like move forward with experimenting with this.
Yeah.
I really don't have that much hope for Neuralink actually being the way to heal spinal cord injury. I think more of like a regenerative medicine, like stem cell research, or even just like they're working on like things like biological like bridges. So it just like it's like a it's like a pathway for nerves to regrow over the injury.
Oh wow.
I think medicines like that are a lot more viable than sticking computer chips in the base of your spinal cord and then
Yeah.
your brain. I think that's I don't know. I
It's
think
weird to
there's
me.
a lot of drawbacks to that.
I think the risks will probably outweigh those short term benefits that we're talking about. But when it comes to the Neuralink and like the paraplegics that he's working with, I think the end goal is to have some sort of suit that goes along with it that
Hmm.
the chip will help operate.
Which
So I don't think it's gonna.
Paradromics on Monday actually announced that it implanted its first brain-computer interface into a human.
Yeah. Yep. There's a few now. I think Neuralink has 3 people. The first one, he had a terrible accident. I think he dove into some water and got paralyzed hitting a rock. And I've talked to him through Twitter, and it was so bizarre to me. It didn't dawn on me at first that, oh, he's using his mind to send these messages. Like obviously,
See, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, I
yep,
don't
I
like you were
know.
saying, like I don't know about it's almost like it's like disconnecting almost
Yeah,
like will the people that have like these computer chips that like increase their intelligence to like like twofold or whatever, are they going to be like a human eventually? Like what will we be with it within like 100
exactly.
years if we keep
Oh,
continuing down this line?
that's exactly right. Like we are going to have to redefine humanity. They're already talking about redefining humanity just with the way we interact with AI. But when you interface with it, and the way the Neuralink will evolve over time, it's going to evolve rapidly. And it's not. It's obviously in maybe 5 to 10 years, it'll become more of a vanity thing for people to plug into. To have the way people are putting Tesla car keys, they're implanting them in their hands now.
Oh, like plastic surgery, like you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
saying the other day.
exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be vanity, and now we'll have to redefine what it means, what IQ means. All these different things. So, but I want to look more into that stuff you're talking about, like those would you call it bio bridges?
Yeah,
That's interesting. That's
yeah.
cool
There's a
stuff.
lot of crazy breakthroughs they're making in the spinal cord recovery. And
Amazing.
AI actually does help a lot with that kind of stuff because you
Yeah,
can run like a million simulations in like a
for sure.
day
Yep.
using AI. So I
Yeah.
think AI does have a lot of viability. I
Yep.
think we just got to be smart and not reliant on it.
Yeah, yeah. I like that it can be a tool for that. Like I've been messing around with AI just for research purposes, and I do like it when it's telling me the truth, or not hallucinating.
Yeah.
But the way it can coalesce all this information so quickly, and the way I can see them using that for actual good in the health industry is great. I just I'm also worried about the way they're going to misuse it, which is going to happen. And it's here and it's inevitable, and we just got to deal with the ethics and the lack thereof. But man, it was a real pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you calling in.
It's been great, man. I'm glad I could be one of your first callers. It's awesome. First time I've done something like this, and
That's
glad to
awesome.
share my story with everyone.
Awesome. Well, you're always welcome to call back if you got something else.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Have a good
Appreciate
night.
you guys. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.